The 2021 F-150 is finally here, and today I've got the Lariat trim that I'm going to show you everything that you get on here, plus some of the available options and new features that Ford has added for this 2021 F-150. This 21 F-150 is redesigned, although at first glance it doesn't really seem that much different, and when you look inside it doesn't really maybe look that much different, but there are definitely some big changes and some unexpected ones as well that make this F-150 probably the best F-150 to date. And we have the hybrid model here, which is brand new for this year. And I'm gonna show you everything else that you get and go for a test drive and some towing. Let's get started. So I wanna start right out under the hood because this is the all new hybrid model. But the good news is Ford still gives you the same powertrains that they gave you before, but now they've added this hybrid. So there are 6 different engine options, all paired with the 10-speed transmission, and a few of those, including the 5-liter V8 and the 3.5-liter EcoBoost turbo, they have upgrades in power. But the real news is under the hood right here. So this is the 3.5-liter PowerBoost is what they're calling it. It's a hybrid system, and it's going to give you 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque that comes out pretty early. This hybrid is available at any trim level you want, and we're going to take it for a test drive in a little bit, and I'll tell you what it's like to drive a hybrid compared to the 3.5-liter EcoBoost. It has a 47 horsepower electric motor that's integrated into the 10-speed transmission for truck use. It also has regenerative brakes to help recharge the lithium-ion battery, and the battery is under the truck within the frame so it doesn't take away from interior or cargo space. And the kicker is that this gets 24 miles per gallon combined. Doesn't sound great, but 24 miles per gallon city, which is a huge improvement, and 24 miles per gallon highway, for a combined total of 24 miles per gallon. And towing numbers across the board have been bumped up and improved a little bit over last generation, and they were already pretty good. In the description below, I'll put the chart for the tech specs that show all the different towing depending on configurations, but this one in particular can tow up to 12,700 pounds, and the 3.5-liter EcoBoost can now tow 14,000 pounds. Now moving to the back, not a lot changes back here except on this tailgate. So first of all, Ford now basically made this a work surface. So you actually have inches and centimeter rulers on here. And one way that that can be helpful is the fact that you have a spot for clamps. So this goes out of the way. You can stick a clamp in here, clamp some wood down, and use it as an actual surface that you can work on or whatever you need to do. Got another spot over here so you don't have to clamp it onto the tailgate. That was one thing that Ford was pretty excited about. You still got the same pull-out step that moves down, and you've got a spot for an iPad, your phone, or whatever you want. Plus, we have tie downs on each side of the tailgate, and this bottom portion can even be used as a bottle opener without actually spilling it. So Ford kind of thought of everything back here. It's not revolutionary, but some very handy stuff. You've got LED box lighting, the box link tie down system, just like you had. You still have the ridges on the wheel wells if you want to create a platform. And check this out. You've got multiple different power sources in the back of each truck. So there's a 240 volt outlet right there. And then you've got 2 120 volt outlets. Check that out. And 2 more. So you can seriously run a lot of power off the back of these trucks. It's just insane. More on those plugins. Ford gives you a few different options of power in the back. You can get a 120 volt outlet in the back. That's a 2 kilowatt power supply. And you can see everything that you can power with that all simultaneously or one at a time. Then you can get a 2.4 kilowatt setup, which is standard on this hybrid PowerBoost with 2 120 volt outlets. And you can have 85 hours of maximum runtime on a full tank, or you can splurge and get the optional 7.2 kilowatt power setup that you see here with 32-hour maximum runtime on a full tank, where you can seriously power so much stuff, including 4 120 volt outlets and a 240 volt outlet. So Ford gives you a lot of potential use for this bed. Bed dimensions are the same. Still got tie downs, fixed tie downs in each corner at 600 pounds a piece for each tie down. And Ford also has the power tailgate to where you can key fob, let it down, key fob, raise it up, and check it out. You just let it up a little bit and it'll go up on its own. Obviously that's optional with whatever truck you get. It's not on every single truck. Ford also offers a thing called zone lighting, to where you can literally light up all around the vehicle from the inside of the vehicle, whether you're in the vehicle and you want to see, or you're outside the vehicle and you just want some extra light where you are, maybe if you're camping or whatever it may be. All right guys, I want to give you a quick look at the exterior as well. So first of all, you kind of have more of a plain grille. Obviously you'll get a different grille depending on the trim level, but we've got redesigned LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and that blinker. So you have a kind of a cool design. Look how massive that C shape is that comes down, as well as the LED fog lights, tow hooks down below as well, and of course the air dam. Now dimensionally, this is basically the same dimensions as it used to be, still with the regular Super Cab and Super Crew. With this Lariat trim, I like the combination of the wheels as well as the black pieces. The running boards are optional. There's a PowerBoost badge on the side, a chrome exhaust tip, and you've got the LED blinker in that mirror as well, and a camera under there that I'll show you in a little bit. As we come to the back, there's a little bit of a redesign back here, but it still looks very similar. Got LED taillights, LED blinker, the F-150 embossed in the back of the truck as well. Now one thing I want to point out with these headlights is that you still get the quad beam, you'll get reflectors, you can get projectors, you can even get adaptive lighting. There's a few different kinds, so it's got the dynamic bending technology where it corners around your turns. But overall, I like what Ford has done with the exterior. The looks, it's still very similar without being polarizing, but just enough to be modern. Look at the inside of the Lariat. We still get these nice leather seats. They are still comfortable. The headrest can tilt just like it could before. Got good comfortable bolstering on them, heated and ventilated even on the Lariat trim. And we've got the same power adjustments, two-way lumbar. Some trims will give you the actual massaging seats as well. Another thing with the front seats that we don't have on this trim, but something optional, is where you can get the front seats to actually fully recline and even move the seat bottom so you have a comfortable position that you can rest, you could sleep, or you can just hang out. But it's cool that Ford offers that on both these front seats if you want. Now on the inside, everything is very similar. The upper trims will give you, the Limited for sure, will give you full leather up here. You've got the same swoop down. Looks a lot like the last generation F-150. The steering wheel is again still similar, but it does have a different pattern of buttons. Easy to use on both sides, 4-spoke design, and a nice leather wrap to it as well, and heated on some vehicles. Now right up here is where things change quite a bit. We've got this large digital display, which is not standard on every trim, but it is an optional feature. You can still get a couple different sizes aside from this. This does take some getting used to, but you still got a lot of good information on here. The typical stuff that you would see, but it is different considering it's all digital. Let me know which screen you would like to get. And then check this out. Check out this massive screen. So Ford did not play with a little screen like you see in the GM trucks. They went with a big option. And again, this is an optional screen. This is not on every truck. It's not revolutionarily fancy. It still operates much the same, but it's just a large integrated screen, and there's still quite a bit of settings and things that you can change around on here. You've got Wi-Fi, you've got the B&O sound system, Sirius XM, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and it works pretty well in my short time in here. And as you can see over here, you can toggle through different information that you want to see on the side of the vehicle in addition to that. Pro Trailer Backup Assist is right there. We will tow later, but not use that. Trailer brake controller, 4-wheel drive control, and your drive mode is all in an easy to use spot. So it's very similar. One quick complaint is that this shifter, this is the one that can fold down, it just feels flimsy, which you could maybe expect, but when you move it, it just kind of has a lot of wiggle to it. Ford still gives you their 360 camera. You can change views. You can have a 360 view over there, out front, to the side, and check it out. You can even look into your bed. There's also dual zone climate control down here. I like how Ford gives us actual physical knobs and buttons in addition to a huge screen. So that is nice to see. Check this out. This little tab, extra cubby, lockable glove box, storage bin, a couple USB ports down there. You can close it up if you want. And then this is still similar. You've got a spot here. You've got cup holders, which are the same size. So this is all very similar, but everything looks and feels much nicer than it did in the last F-150. I was in an STX earlier that had the column shifter. So that is nice to see that you can still get that column shifter. But check this out. This is one of the big things. You push this, and that goes down into there. And then there's a little button back here. Pull that, and check this out. You've got a nice flat work surface that actually has a nice material to it. Like, stuff isn't hard, plasticky, gonna slide around, but this is a work surface if you're gonna use this truck for work and as a bench. In fact, in the XL, the base trim, the work truck, you've got a different setup when you have a bench seat to where it can actually kind of slide out in front of you like a desk. Aside from that, you've got a nice soft armrest. Still have good storage down here as well. Movable tray, just like you see in the old F-150s. I still think Ram's center console is nice because it is modular. The whole thing can move. This is still nice and functional in my opinion though. A lot is the same up here. You still get sunglass holders. You've got ambient lighting that comes down. We have LED lighting up here as well, depending on what trim level you get. And we have optional, the twin panel moonroof. So that's gonna go back. Even on this Lariat trim, you can get that. Definitely a much nicer interior. And don't forget, you still have this little storage bin. Right up there. But Ford did a nice job of making this nicer without overdoing things or complicating it, but still making it very truck and work friendly. And as we take a look at the back, now one thing to note is that you still get nice materials back here, and on the limited trim you actually get a real leather upper even in the back seat. One thing I was hoping for was an actual reclining function like you see with Ram, but you don't get that back here. You still get, it's basically a lot like a Super Duty backseater last generation. You still get a fold down armrest, as you can see right there. These seats can fold up, so you've got a nice flat load floor. Definitely still very practical. The other thing is that you now have this lockable storage bin right here. So you can lift this up, have dividable cargo, and there's a divider back here as well. You can lock it, pull this up, it's in place, and then there's a lock, just like the Super Duty. So you can stick your key in there. When you fold the seat down, you can have it locked so that nobody can get there. So that could be a safe, lockable space. And back here, you still get the cup holders, which is nice, AC vents, heated seats, a 12-volt power outlet, and you've got USB regular and Type-C, and a 3-prong outlet all back here. So it's a lot like the other generation. The dimensions are the same, legroom is the same. I just wish that we had a reclining function like Ram offers. All right, y'all, we are now behind the wheel of the PowerBoost. So this is a 3.5 liter hybrid system, and putting it into drive, I'm gonna give you some feedback of what it's like to drive this PowerBoost model and how it compares to the regular ones, because this is all new for this year. And right off the bat, my first impression is that you can kind of tell that it feels like a hybrid, and what I mean by that is right away you can kind of feel a little bit of a silent electric torque, which is how it goes with hybrids. You've got some instantaneous electric power with hybrid motors, and it's paired with the 3.5 liter engine anyways, so you've still got good torque from that. But so far, I have been driving it for a little bit. I didn't get hooked up here immediately because I wanted a little bit more than just a first impression of driving this, and I've got to say, it is mostly unnoticeable. Power-wise, let's go ahead and get on it. And it gets going pretty quick. With that acceleration, it still felt similar to the way the other Fords feel, but you feel a little bit of a quicker, more instant, more on-demand power source. Now, Ford didn't make revolutionary changes with suspension or driving dynamics or anything like that. We still have leaf springs in the back, so you feel the jitteriness, the bumpiness, you know, a solid axle, but it's been proven to be successful. You've got excellent payload, excellent towing, but you're not going to have quite as nice of a ride as, say, Ram with their coil springs. But in here, I think driving this F-150 is just very nice. It's still quiet. We still have laminated glass even on this mid-level trim, and you've got this huge screen available on this trim. You've got this huge display in the middle on this trim, and it still feels the same with handling. Ford also gives you adaptive steering optional, which can change the variable ratio of the steering depending on your speed. So it's easier to maneuver a big truck like this at low speeds, and at high speeds feel a little bit more in control and centered. So it's nice that Ford has given us the adaptive steering like we've seen in the Super Duty trucks. Now, braking with hybrids sometimes can be a little bit weird and strange and just kind of make you feel uneasy, because this one still has regenerative brakes, just like you get with other hybrid models. So when you brake, you're capturing energy, and you can have a screen on here to show you if you're getting charged up. But more on the brakes is that as you're braking, you get the regenerative brakes going first, and then you get into the real meaty brakes. And there's a little bit of a transition point in most hybrids, but so far in here I haven't noticed it, felt it, haven't had issues with it. Now, usually I talk about noise, vibration, and harshness, and I do decibel ratings, but since I'm not on my home turf right now, I'm not going to have decibel ratings. When I get one for a week, I will definitely do some decibel ratings and take it on the same area that I usually do. Like going down this hill, for example, just letting off the gas, letting off the brake. In a normal vehicle, you're just not using as much gas. In this one, you can actually capture the energy of going down the hill, so you have a little bit more electric power. And even just in my short trip so far that I've driven, not since I started filming, but before I put the camera on, we've got, it says 2.8 electric miles. MPGs right now is at 19.8 with some hard accelerations, with some hills, cities, you know, but it doesn't really vary at all with the MPGs of this powertrain. I would say the handling still feels good on here. It's not quite as a connected feel, or maybe not quite as responsive as the GM trucks, and I may be alone in saying that, but it still feels very similar to what the old models felt like. And the longer that I drive this F-150, the smoother that I think it feels. Now, it's not rough, it's not SUV minivan like either, but it hasn't been harsh at all. And we've had some pavement that's not been the best, and I've been impressed and pleased with it. And on the screen in front of me, I just moved it, and I am in pure electric power right now. It gives you a bar, so you kind of know the threshold of when it changes to gas power, but I'm in pure electric mode using zero gas. There's 0 RPMs right now. So if you want a different powertrain, if you want a very torquey powertrain and an efficient powertrain, you can get it with this hybrid. You don't have to get the diesel for a very efficient drive, but you can still get those other options, which have even been a little bit upgraded in terms of power for this year. As far as the way you feel in this truck, it feels just like other Fords. I mean, things look very similar. You still have storage, you still kind of have the same, you know, upright truck-like layout. The windows are the same going down, and you just still have this nice ahead feeling with this truck. So if you are coming from an older F-150, you're gonna feel right at home in this F-150. Now right now I'm not on the brake, not on the gas, and it says charge down there. It's capturing a little bit of this rolling energy that we get here. I just got on the accelerator, now we're in electric, and now we're in hybrid, so gas and electric. Now I'm gonna come to a stop here, and just for fun, let's go ahead and get on it. And this still comes with the 10-speed transmission. It's not the exact same. It's a modular 10-speed transmission for this hybrid powertrain. And honestly, I think it has been smoother, more efficient shifting than non-hybrid transmissions. Now, if you've never driven a hybrid, this will feel a little bit different to you if you pay attention to it. If you don't pay attention, you might hardly not notice it at all. Most time you will be in hybrid mode to where you're getting electric and gas power, which is honestly maybe ideal for most of you, but sometimes you will capture that energy and you can be in electric mode sometimes. And in terms of towing, this powertrain is going to be able to be very responsive and torquey with that instant electric torque paired with this 3.5 liter engine. And right after the test drive portion, I decided to reset the trip computer to see what kind of miles per gallon we get with a mix of mostly highway, but also some city, and I'll report back to you. And we made it back, and we got 25.6 miles per gallon over 20 miles after the test drive. All right, y'all, I am now towing a pretty big boat. I can't remember if they said it was about 6,500 pounds or 7,500 pounds, but I've got this PowerBoost engine, so the hybrid engine, and I'm gonna kind of give you some feedback of what it feels like as far as the acceleration. I mean, this is a pretty good weight, but definitely not even close to what it can do at max towing. But so far, right off the bat, it feels nice and solid. Get on it a little bit, going around this biker. And acceleration is pretty much effortless so far at this point. You've got the trailer brake controller, which I have the gain up a little bit on. You can definitely feel that boat. I mean, it's a pretty good weight back there. Now going from a stop, it is in tow haul mode as well. Holds those shifts a little longer, but that was smooth. There was no hard pulling, there was no jerking.
Turn left to Hawk Road.
It worked just as expected. So I don't have a ton of experience with towing, but I'm honestly somebody that, somebody with not a lot of towing experience would be somebody good to give you some feedback on. Because if you're not used to towing either, or you just want something that feels pretty effortless to tow, I can kind of tell you that. Going around a few of these turns here, you can get the adaptive steering, like I've said, in F-150. Acceleration is good. I mean, with a naturally aspirated engine, especially non-hybrid, naturally aspirated, you gotta get the RPMs up a little bit in order to get some decent torque for your towing. But paired with this turbocharged EcoBoost and the hybrid gives you electric power instantly. So there's really no delay in getting your power to get this boat moving. Now over some bumps, you can definitely feel it. This truck, I feel as if I have something heavy behind me. And then slowing down, get your gain set appropriately with your trailer brake controller, and it just does well. You've still got good size rotors on this F-150. We do not have towing mirrors on here, but I can still see just fine. And there's good information in front of you, even more than I was ever expecting, really. You've got the Pro Trailer Backup Assist here as well to help turn that dial to back up your trailer. I've got to say, I'm definitely impressed in this hybrid with how everything feels, acceleration-wise, just the handling-wise. This truck handles this weight well, and obviously if you regularly tow more than this, you probably want to go with the heavy duty, super duty, but these F-150s can really pull a lot of weight, and they show that with their payload and the towing numbers.
Timbers Road.
Now let's go ahead and get on it, getting up to speed. And obviously not floored. I didn't even want to floor it, but this truck gets you up to speed pretty quick, especially with this heavy load. So towing, you honestly might want to go for this hybrid. You've still got that electric power to assist you, probably still going to be more efficient. So there's a lot to like about this hybrid powertrain when towing. Now wrapping up my drive towing with the PowerBoost, the transmission still gets through its shifts pretty well. You've got that boat back there, and even though it is fairly heavy and fairly wide, this has done well with acceleration, with handling, with everything that you basically need with towing. I think if you are going to be doing a lot of towing, you could obviously go for the diesel. You're going to get a whole different type of torque coming out of there, but there's a lot of torque that comes out of this one as well, so definitely worth a look. Now, one thing Ford added was lane centering technology. You still get the Ford Copilot 360, lane keeping system, adaptive cruise, but now we have lane centering. So I just turned that on, and let's watch and see how this does. Going over that bump there, it kind of got out of its sorts a little bit, but it's keeping me straight. And this is a straight road. I'm gonna kind of veer over, and it just grabs the wheel and keeps going. Now you can turn the lane centering off if you want. You can turn everything off, but in my experience so far with Ford is the Copilot 360 is responsive with its lane keeping system, its lane centering, and with its adaptive cruise control. I have a full demonstration of how this works on the Ford Explorer, so be sure to check that out if you want to see more in detail. But on this straightaway, it's done fantastic. It just beeped at me to keep my hands on the wheel, but it's done a very nice job. So all in all, I would say this F-150 it still feels very similar to the other one, which I think is a good thing. You don't mess with success, but things are just nicer. You've got a bigger option for a screen, and this kind of interesting, you know, option to be able to lay this down, and nice materials in some of the trim levels. And it's just a nicer vehicle, but still very, very, very similar. So to wrap things up on the 2021 F-150, I think Ford's recipe here is just don't mess with success. I like the things that Ford added, but they still let people that are used to the F-150s, that like the F-150s, have everything that they've appreciated with the F-150s in the past. For example, you still get a V8, you can still get a column shifter, you've got a functional interior, same with the bed. It's just everything that you'd ask for, but even better. And if you want to really go for something unique, you can go for this hybrid, the electric unit in the back, better efficiency, and the cool little knick-knack features that they've added, and the nicer interior overall. When I can get the F-150 for a week to show you guys everything, I'll show you more in detail with the trim levels, do a night video, and all that good stuff later on. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.